Good evening. It's 6:04, and I would like to call to order the regular meeting of March 15th, 2023. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Staff roll call, please.
Alternate Commissioner Torgerson.
Present.
Present for the record. Committee Member Chow.
Present.
Committee Member Chang.
Present.
Committee Member Batanish.
Present.
Vice Chair McKee.
Present.
And Chair Lakon.
Present. The agenda is posted 72 hours prior to each meeting at the following locations: San Marino City Hall, the Quail Public Library, and the Stoneman Building. The agenda is also posted on the city's website. The city welcomes public input. At this time, the public may address the Design Review Committee on items that are not on the agenda. Pursuant to state law, the Design Review Committee may not discuss or take action on issues not on the meeting agenda. To ensure that everyone, including those joining us remotely, are able to hear all speakers clearly, please speak directly into the microphone. Please note that all comments are limited to 3 minutes and will be timed by city staff. I would now like to ask staff to explain how the public comment will work for those individuals participating through Zoom and phone.
Members of the public may email planning@cityofsanmarino.org to submit your public comment, and we will read it into the record after those physically present have given their public comment. Or they can use the raise hand feature on Zoom, and we will allow you access to speak through Zoom electronically.
Thank you. Does anyone here wish to speak on an item not on the agenda? If so, please, anyone here to speak on an item? Staff, do we have any public comments submitted electronically?
No.
Okay, moving on to public hearings. Each committee member has received plans and staff comments and has reviewed every item on the agenda and visited each site. Generally, for hearing, each case will be as follows. Staff will discuss the case and provide background information and a recommendation. Committee members may ask questions of staff after the presentation. The applicant will present the project if they desire to do so. The committee may take the opportunity to ask the applicant questions. Then we will open up public comment in person and teleconference participants. At the conclusion of public comment, the applicant will have a chance to respond to the public comments at which time the public comment will be closed. We will answer comments from each of the committee members for discussion, but please do not repeat comments made by your fellow committee members. Project. During the public comment period and during deliberations that will be useful in resubmitting an application. It's also important to understand that there is a 15-day appeal period after an action has been taken for the applicant or any interested party to request to review an act on the case. Okay, ready for item number 1?
Thank you, Chair and committee members. This is Assistant Planner Eric G. presenting.
Excuse me. I'm going to recuse myself for this item.
Vice Chair McKee, the public has indicated that they're having issues with hearing that mic specifically. Can you do a test for us?
This is a test. I can hear it's not working. I can hear it's not on.
Okay, we'll continue working on it then. We can continue with the staff presentation then, Eric.
All right, I would like to invite alternate committee member Torgerson to join the committee on item number 1. Thank you. As staff who will be presenting item number 1.
It'll be me, Eric G, the assistant planner. Presenting case number DR 2308 at 2575 Wallingford Road for the proposal of a roof replacement. The applicant is proposing to remove the existing tar and gravel roof, also known as built-up roof or rock roof, with the GAF Timberline Ultra HD Reflector Series composition shingle roofing material in the birchwood color. The proposed roof material is not listed under the city's pre-approved roof material list and does not meet the prerequisite of having a composition roofing material already currently installed in the house. As such, it is subject to design review. The project is an active code enforcement case, which was reported on January 26th of 2023. And code enforcement and city staff was able to respond and verify the code violation. And on January 27, 2023, code enforcement sent out the notice with instructions to contact planning staff. And on February 7th of 2023, the applicant submitted the design review application. And on March 1st to 2023, the case item was heard in the DRC hearing and was moved to continuance to March 15, 2023 hearing date due to the technical difficulties. There is one legal neighbor that exists with the composition shingle that is also a GAF Timberline Ultra that was permitted on February 21st, 1995. The project does not propose to remove or relocate any trees, and the property is not identified on the city of San Marino citywide historic survey property list. There were 9 approvals from the neighbors, 2 no responses, and 0 objections from the legal neighbors. And the project meets all findings and staff recommends approval. Staff would also like to note that, while not mentioned in the staff report, the roof material, the pre-approved roof materials cannot be installed in the house due to the low pitch of the slope. The 17 presidential and the president landmark TL, as well as the presidential TL, cannot be installed on roof below the 212 pitch. And while we couldn't verify the exact slope of the existing roof, we were able to verify that it is a low slope with the existing tar and gravel roof, which can only be installed on a low pitched roof below the 212. That concludes the staff report, and staff is available to answer any question, and the applicant's representative is also available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Assistant Planner G. Does any committee member have a question for staff?
I do have a quick question. The existing, they call it tar and gravel roof. I went out there, it doesn't look like it's a gravel roof. Has it been replaced? I looked at some old pictures, looks like it was. But it looks like what is out there now looks like a shingle.
So this was an active code enforcement case where the applicant or the property owner was already replacing the roof and was cited due to the unpermitted re-roofing. And so that is why they're here before you, and the roof has already been mostly been replaced with the proposed material.
So if I may ask you, unless you know, if not, we ask the applicant. What is that asphalt shingle roof out there? Is that the GAF roof?
Yes, we have the sample right here.
Okay. So that's what they're trying to do, trying to make it legal.
Yes.
But why is it leaking? I thought it's still leaking, isn't it? That blue dart is out there wrapping the.
It's not completely installed, so it was stopped halfway through the process.
Okay, now I understand.
Yeah, so it's not completely done, and until they receive approval, then they would finish the process.
I see,
Yes.
okay. All right, thank you. Now that clear up everything.
Committee member Chow.
Use this one. Thanks.
Question to start. So just start. question. So,
You mentioned that will be in the record, the separate board doesn't need to reflect it, but we'll make the change.
so just something. So,
Well, if they,
You're treating this as if it was not there. So if the committee found that it was not compatible, then the applicant would have to replace it with something that would be found appropriate by the committee.
Any other questions for staff?
Yes, I have a question. Would you clarify the term birchwood? Is that the color or is that the material?
it's the color.
But the sample doesn't look birchwood. It looks like a charcoal.
So if you refer to the brochure provided in the attachment, the birchwood is the color that they provide here.
Is it possible to
Yeah.
allow the committee to see that?
I think we had this in the packet, didn't we?
Yes, it was part of it.
Any other questions for staff? I have a question. I would like to confirm so that the committee can understand what percentage of the roof is on currently? What percentage of this project has already been completed?
So the applicant, representative can verify that, but it'll be 1/3 approximately.
1/3 is on already?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that it was going to be more.
Yeah, that's what was sold, but it looks totally gray rather than
Yeah.
a wood tone, but
Right.
I.
Any other questions for staff? Okay. Does the applicant, thank you, Assistant Planner G. Does the applicant or the applicant's representative wish to comment on the proposal for a maximum of 5 minutes? Could you state your name and address for the record?
Evening committee members and chair, my name is John Wang. I'm the representative for Cal State Roofing, also representing the property owner at 2575 Wallingford Road. And I'm here to answer all your questions if you have any.
Questions for the applicant, committee member Chang.
Yes, a few questions. I missed the part. You said you are a resident?
No, I'm a representative for the company. Yes.
Are you familiar with this material?
Fairly, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Alright. So let me understand this. What is the total composition of this GAF roof? I do see that it's a thin layer of asphalt shingle. What is the underlayment? What is the total process? How many layers?
Okay, because of the low pitch roof, for us to put GAF shingles in there, they actually requires 2 layers of felt. It's a synthetic felt, it's 50 pounds. Because that's required for a low pitch roof like that.
So when you said the percentage completion is about 1/3, what happened? First of all, let me understand the whole process. The old rock roof was completely removed or not removed?
Yes, unfortunately, this is our first time working in the city of San Marino. I apologize that we do jump the gun first. Reason why was that there's multiple places that was leaking already, and so we kind of patched up basically 1/3 of it, 1/3 of the roof line was already done with the shingles. And of course, the existing tar and gravel was removed because for us to fix the cover up the leaks, it has to be removed.
So, because the normal procedure nowadays is to remove everything
Correct,
and then put the waterproofing layer first.
correct,
And then you could start using that asphalt shingle
correct,
as a sun protection and for the look.
correct. The first step and that already been completed, which is complete removal of the tar and gravel.
Right?
And the
What about
second layer,
Waterproofing layer.
yeah, the waterproofing layer was already done as well.
Why is it still leaking then?
I'm sorry?
Why is it still leaking?
Because they have a old, they have actually six, how to say this, skylights. And without the shingles conforming around the skylights, the water started leaking down from where the skylight was. The paper is not completely sealed yet. That's why we had to, for the last couple of weeks, we had to put tarp over it to cover the leaks.
So your felt paper,
Yes,
whatever, you go 15 pound or 50 pound, you said
50.
50.
50, yes.
But that's supposed to be doing the waterproofing job, not that shingle.
Because around the skylights and also around the chimneys, it's supposed to be tarred with the black tar. They had to seal with the black tar. We
Right.
couldn't do that yet.
That had not been done.
That has not
And the
been
job
done
has
yet.
stopped.
Correct, because it's been stopped, yes.
Okay. All right, I have one more question for you. Have you, I heard the staff report that mentioned something about because the low pitch of the roof, that the presidential TL, which means the triple layer, third layer, was not suitable for that. Have you verified that? Or
Yes.
you- is that hearsay?
We would love to use that material, certain teat, presidential or the certain TTL, which is a very good material. We'll love to use that, but unfortunately, as the company requirement for the material, they requires 4/12 of slope, which is about 20 degrees. For this existing roof at the 2575, the roof is below, actually, it's not even 2/12, which is actually below 8 degrees. That's why we had the tar and gravel roof on there. Reason why this tar and gravel roof can be only installed on roofs lower than 8 degrees.
Okay, I don't know if that has been verified or not, but you did talk to the president of TL roofing company and verify that, because I don't see why would that be a problem?
Yeah, well, it was verified with the company representative. Also, I think I relayed that message to the planner, Eric as well. He also verified that as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the information.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions for the applicant?
I'm just wondering, do you do business in any cities where a roof permit is not required?
No, we didn't, because we always do permit. That's one thing we do have to work on. I think our employees jumped the gun in a way. It's not recommended, and we're looking into that as well with our employee. I think they were hired on the spot, so due to the urgency of the leak, I don't want to give you any excuses for it, but due to the urgency of the leak, and the property owner actually want us to fix the leak, and we can't fix the leak without removing the existing tar and gravel.
Right, are these your own employees? You said you hired them on the spot. Are they subcontractors?
No, I'm saying we sent our estimators out and they were hired on the spot, yeah, which is our company employee. It wasn't me or.
And your estimator started doing work in
No,
that moment?
I'm sorry, but I wasn't involved with that one, but yes, basically they came back and bought some material and then start working on it right away. In the next day.
My original question was, is there any city in which it's not necessary? Is there any city that you work in where it's not necessary to get a roof permit?
There's few cities in the east, such as like Upland or somewhere, that you can actually apply the permit at the time of, you can work on the roof and the same time you apply for a permit. Usually those are walk-in permits. That's it, but most of the city last year, you are correct, all requires permits.
Are there any other questions for the applicant's representative? I have some questions. I want to follow up on committee member Chang's comment,
Okay.
which is, are you representing to us tonight? Are you warranting, because I do not have anything in writing, and I do not think staff was able to confirm that that you can't put a pre-approved roofing material, the certainteed, on this roof. You're stating to the committee that it's below 2/12, but do you have anything in writing? Do you have anything to show us so
Okay.
that we can look at it and say, okay, we understand this and it's been represented to us?
Okay, because that is a flat roof, obviously, there's no attic space. So for us to, and also inside of it, it was already done with some like crown molding. So there's no way you can measure it effectively to see the pitch of the roof. But I do have a piece of sheet. Here. This is basically stating the different type of roof or different type of pitch of also material, roofing material for different type of pitch as well. So their existing roof was tar and gravel, which is down there. It says bitumen roof. Those type of roof can only be installed for a roof that's below 8 degrees in pitch. So therefore, that basically approved our that the existing roof is actually lower than 8 inches. I mean, not 8 inches, 8 degrees.
I guess I think that the committee would feel more comfortable if we had something from, the roof material company, this certainty saying we can't do this.
Yeah, there was actually research. You can research that also talking with the company and representative. You can research that, of course, on the internet as well. The roofing, all the shingles, especially for certainty, it has to be 4/12 or higher. Anything lower than that it will be a leak problem, and also they don't want anybody to install.
Committee member Chang.
If I may, based on the chart you just showed me. Asphalt shingle has the largest range.
Correct.
It's all the way down to about 2, right at about 2.5 to 12.
About 3, yeah, about 3, but
If you look at that, it's past the 3 mark. So I am concerned when you said that it cannot be done, it has to be 4 and 12, which is incorrect. If you look at the chart carefully. The asphalt shingle range started from a real steep roof all the way down to about 2.5 to 12. Have you looked at that carefully?
Yes, and also there are instances that they can go below 4/12, but the thing with that is they requires double layer of felt underneath, which actually make the pitch even lower. So because make it flatter, and they don't recommend that, as I talked to the representative in the company. Because the water will be trapped in there. And so there's, number one, it shortened the life of the material. Also, it could cause leak. So they could go down to like a little below 4/12, but they don't recommend that at all. And also the reason I give you the chart is to show you that the tar and gravel roof requirements is the highest is 2/12 basically. So they had that roof on there, which means their roof has to be lower than that.
Yeah, I'm just sharing that range of the asphalt shingle color went past below the 3 to 12 for 1.
Correct.
For 2, and when you said that if you had to do double layer to protect the roof, that really isn't a impossible task or challenge. It is to do it right. So are you a licensed roofing contractor or
Yes,
general
sir.
contractor?
Yes, so we do. We're a licensed roofing contractor,
Roofing or general?
roofing.
Roofing.
And also to reply to that question you had, like I said, the representative I talked to with certainty, they said they can't go lower than that, but it requires a double layer of felt, which means because this roof is already low, if you put 2 layers on top of it, it will actually make the pitch even worse. So it's not recommended. That's what the reps is telling us.
Well, that puzzles me because when you put 2 layer, it 2 layer applies throughout. the pitch does not change when you put 2 layers of paper. I don't understand how that happened. But anyway, was this your decision or this has been consulted with the owner on this GAF material?
Yeah, I was consulted with the homeowner.
Are they here today or?
They're not, they asked me to represent them as well.
Okay,
Yeah, Jack and Georgia Chang.
so they like what they
That's
see?
that's what they chose, yes, correct.
All right.
I told them about the problems. They are fully aware of what the problem with the certainty. Like I said, I would love to put presidential shingles on that roof, but it's just not feasible.
Chair, real quick, please speak directly onto the microphone.
Are we having problems?
Okay.
Just make
Thank
sure you speak into the microphone.
Thank you. Thank you, Director. Any other questions for the applicant's representative from the committee? If not, I have another question that is on a completely different issue. Were you responsible for soliciting approval and comment from the legal neighborhood, or was that the applicant?
It was me and the applicants at the same time.
Because I have found in the record something that I've never seen really before, that every signature, or the majority of the signatures, are illegible. And I've never seen that before. I have never seen that before. We review approval letters of, that state there's no objection, there's an objection. We review those in every single project, every single case that comes before us. And you can always understand what the name of the neighbor, what the name of the property owner in the legal neighborhood is. And every single one was illegible. Do you know what that is?
Okay, so the first round, all the signature that was gathered, I know for a fact because I was the one that actually went around the neighborhood to get all those signatures. And those signatures are true facts from the neighbors. The only time the homeowner was involved because there's I think 4 homeowners that was not home and I could not reach them. So they went after I did. But all the signatures that was on file, those are true signatures from the homeowners.
I just find it very curious. Do you have any explanation that usually the signature is legible and you
Yes.
can make out, I would be able to say, this signature is from this person, at least a last name, most of the time a first and last name and something that's usually printed. And every single signature is like what we say about doctor signatures, where it's just completely illegible. And I just found that very curious.
I couldn't offer any explanation for that other than I had the folder and the piece of sheet paper with me at the door. So that they were signed at the door, but you can verify with every single neighbor in there with the signature, you can verify with them as well.
And did they understand that the project had already been started?
They didn't understand the project started yet, but they do know we're about to start the project, the roofing project. Matter of fact, one of the neighbor next door, I think we went extensively explaining to them what the project was involving as well. I was the one that doing it, so I know for sure those signatures are legit, yeah.
Are there any other questions for the applicant's representative?
Yes, Chair, I have one more question. I just want to understand receiving whether we approve or disapprove the project. One time, you said you started the 15-pound felt. And that being adhered to the, did you remove the old rock roof
Yes, we
completely, 100%?
100%.
There was no underlayment, remove it down to the plywood and or the substrate of the.
Correct.
And what do you do? Can you tell us what you have done?
Okay, so we removed the tar and gravel roof and we fixed all the dry rots if there was any. And we put our two layers felt on top of it, and we complete the shingle install by one third of the roofing, the front line where the majority of the leak was.
The 2 layers of felt, are they asphalt in or they nailed in? Are you using
There's staple guns basically. They were stapled in, and some of them are basically glued in. Yes, depends where the locations are.
These are not the self-adhesive type, or you don't torch them. These are just felt paper, asphalt paper.
The first layer was adhesive. The second layer is not.
What kind of warranty would this GF roof that you put in will warranty the members
The
use?
company offers 40 years.
That's on the material, but what kind of warranty are you giving to the owner?
15 years labor.
So your installation is strictly per the manufacturer's recommended method.
Correct. We'll follow our advice from the manufacturer representatives.
All right. I don't have any further questions on that.
Any other questions for the applicant's representative from the committee? Thank you.
Speak to the restrictions of the 2 to 12 slope. I'm not sure if they can solve that, but that adds to the discussion points that you were referring to. Do we have a page number?
Let me share my screen. So this was attachment 7, and then attachment 8 was the landmark TL spec sheet. So this is just the first page. The second page, if I zoom in on this corner. Oops, I'm sorry.
Oh, that was exactly what we needed. There we go.
Yeah, I was wondering why that was attached.
That wasn't clear to me.
Yeah, I
before.
just
Yeah.
skipped it because I was like, why are they showing us?
Chair, if I may, it says do not apply shingle below 212 slope. Yes, I am looking at a chart. I'm referring to the President TL recommendation under figure 15-4 slope definitions. It was highlighted says do not apply shingle below 212. And it's easy to figure out the slope of a roof. All you gotta do is just measure the horizontal and the distance, and then go to the pitch, and then measure the distance between the corner to the pitch line, and that gives you the slope. I think that looking at that home, it's not much different from all the other homes around there, especially right across the street. I got a feeling that it probably will be sufficient if you can use it. There's no less than 212. 212 really.
I think we should wait for committee
I think we should.
discussion.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Okay, sure, of course.
But I appreciate that.
Define that chart agreement.
Director and Ms. Martinez, I appreciate that because I think that we didn't realize that was there for that purpose. I'll now open up this item for public comment. Does any member of the public wish to speak on this item, on this project?
I do have, Ms. Giles, are you raising your hand for this item?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you can go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
I would just like to concur with the last presented image that does verify that asphalt shingle presidential TL can be installed with a roof slope between 2 and 4 inches. And I was also looking at the cut sheet, which also confirms that. My question, which I would like the committee to ponder.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Could you please give us your name for the record?
Sure, I apologize. It's Jennifer Giles, 2290 Lorraine Road, San Marino.
Thank you.
I'm a licensed architect, and I've worked with many roofing products. And I just want to concur that, or actually ask the committee to ponder the question as to why this homeowner would like to put a different asphalt shingle roofing product on their roof when presidential TL can easily be provided for with this roof pitch that's obviously 2 inches or greater. And I agree with what was said earlier, that it is quite easy to measure what the existing pitch of a roof is. I'm also curious why the homeowner decided not to replace the roof with tar and gravel again, if that was what was on there before. But presidential TL would be perfectly fine, and I think it's a much more superior looking product than the GAF, which is very, it's not as thick, and it's also very homogeneous looking. I don't think it has a lot of definition. And I'm very troubled by the fact that this homeowner decided to go with a GAF product that is an asphalt shingle when we already have a pre-approved asphalt shingle on our roofing materials list that would have been sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Giles. Does the applicant's representative wish to respond? If so, you have an additional 3 minutes.
Okay, as that the paper I just sent you, to measure the roof, I already consulted with the master roofer. With that roof is ineffective. Let's put that way. Number one, it was, there's no attic space. Number two, the inside of it is already been remodeled with chrome molding, so it's very hard to see the angle of it. Just like this one right here, this roof right here is not that easy to measure the roof in a precise and accurate way. Number two, to respond to that presidential shingle, she said clearly it's above 2¼ 2/12 of roof, but the existing roof at this location is actually below that, below 2/12. Reason why is, like I told you, I sent you the sheet with they have a tar and gravel roof on top of them, right? Prior to what we did, and for tar and gravel roof to be installed, it requires a roof lower than 2/12. Reason why is very simple. It's a liquid tar. If any pitch higher than 80 degrees, it's gonna flow down. So it's not gonna stay on. Also the rocks as well. If you have any higher pitch than 80 degrees or 2/12, the rock won't stay on. During the rain or wind, it won't stay on, period. So that's how it, that's why I give you the paper to conclude that the roof, even though we don't have an accurate way of measuring it, they can still show you that because the tar and gravel roof was on top of it already, so it proves that that roof is below 2/12 of pitch. And to answer another question about why not tar and gravel roof again, tar and gravel roof is been it's used majority for commercial purposes, and also they have environmental impacts as well, because you have to burn rubber and tar on site, which that could create environmental problem as well. That's why many roofers in the state of California is not even using that roof anymore. And we don't have the capability of do that either, because most of the cities will not allow us burn rubber and tar on site at the job site. It's just not possible. It create a problem for everybody, even for the city. Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Hearing none, staff, do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
We do not.
Thank you. So at this time, we're going to close the public comments and bring the item back to the committee for discussion. Committee Member Chang.
Thank you, Chair. What troubles me is this. We're debating what material. If we're talking about asphalt shingle, then whether it's the GAF or the presidential TL, they both asphalt shingle. So it's no longer off the equation, meaning that if the roof pitch can fit and work with asphalt shingle, then the material would apply. It's not one brand over the other, because they both can work up down to about 2/12 anyway. So I don't see that there is an issue as to the roof pitch as to pick JF and or the other one, the P-approved type. So that's one. Two, the roofer's testimony or the owner's representative testimony is that we feel that this material GAF will work, and we just glorify the chart that the presidential TL will also work. because it's also with asphalt shingle and it should work. So based on the way that we've been dealing with asphalt shingle roof in that neighborhood and understanding that what they got out there is it's probably workable with the presidential TL, I would not move forward with this GAF material. Looking at the sample GAF material, it's probably one of the thinnest asphalt shingle you can find on the market. I really worry about how when it's finished, how it looks, and I worry about whether the homeowner will get what they paid for because of the material, and it definitely will take away from the aesthetic value of that corner. So I would not approve the GAF material based on what I hear.
Thank you. Committee Member Chow. Sure. Thank you. Committee Member Batnich.
It seems like we don't definitely know the roof pitch. I'm not an expert on these things, but it looks like it is at least a 212. But we don't know the roof pitch, which we need to know, I think, to be able to make a decision or to even, get some clarity on how to move forward. The applicant needs to know that. I have some concerns about some of the answers that the applicant's representative gave. It's not really entirely clear to me how they went about this and what their decision making was, which is a little bit troublesome. I do understand that presidential TL and landmark TL can both be applied to 212 slopes with the proper underlayment, and that ice is more of a concern. Areas where there's ice, that's more of a concern. Don't think that we have that problem here. So, but I would want the I would want either to, I guess I would want the applicant to at best come back with a full range of options, starting with what the roof pitch is and then explain what the options are exactly. Color seems to be something that is an issue or could be an issue with this. But we haven't even gotten to that stage. We're still talking about materials, but I do want to bring up that color could be a potential issue with this because there aren't that many materials with this light of a color. So the house might have a little bit of a different look, depending on what color they go with. But it seems like there are more options for this applicant, and I would like to hear them.
Thank you. Alternate committee member Torgerson.
Well, we've heard confusing testimony there. I'm confused about whether or not this pitch would support presidential TL or it does not. So I'm confused and it's not clear. And I also find that there was a lack of permit troubling. To begin the project, there was no permit. That is troubling. On the plus side, it is obvious the pitch is low and not terribly visible from the street, even from the side where there's the most exposure of the roof. So that's helpful. But I will go along with my committee members in whatever the majority, because I'm not comfortable in saying, yes, this is something that I would approve.
Thank you. I share the concerns of my fellow committee members. I think just a visual, and I'm no roofing expert, but just a visual, and I've been to the property twice because it was on the agenda previously and then on the agenda for tonight. And just a visual on it, the material seems thin. Seeing the sample in person, the material looks very thin. I don't know what the precedent is for our city if somebody can start a project that's not permitted with material that's not acceptable. And because they've started the project, when they're called out, they can sort of push it through with the committee. I don't know what kind of precedent that would set for other people in the city, ignoring the procedures of the city. I also share my fellow committee members' concern about the color. I've never seen such a light color on a property in the city. I initially understood that 75% of the roofing had been completed, but we hear tonight it was a third. It's very, very unfortunate. We hate to have anybody have to undo that, but it was and I guess it was an improper project to begin with, is really what we've heard. And I am concerned about the understanding of the neighbors in the legal neighborhood and what they understood had happened, what's happening now, what's being approved, that they don't have to approve something that was not a material that was on the city's pre-approved list, just because it's already been applied or started to be applied. So do we have a motion?
I can get the agenda. Number, where's the number? Yeah.
Do we want some more discussion on what we're doing?
I was gonna, this is a mess, but we do have someone without a full roof, so I would suggest we continue it. They come back, they have hopefully really complete information and options, and that we can look at. I don't know, is there any?
Do we have a consensus view on a continuance?
Here's the bottom line, if I may, is for continuance, we want them to verify if the presidential TL material that we've been approving all along, would that practically can be used? And if it can be used, would that be acceptable? Meaning that do they have to come back to us? because it's already on the pre-approved list. Maybe this is a question for staff.
That's a question for staff.
If they can prove that the manufacturer verified the slope is workable, and then they can just by using the pre-approved table, use the same color that is already pre-approved, do they need to come back and they work that out? Because the
Yeah.
only missing part is that they have the asphalt shingle on it. But you know, this rock roof, of course, is rarely you see that in the city anyway. So
Yes, so either, well, so to even get presidential TL, they would have to get your approval through a motion, either through this current agenda design review committee action, where let's say you do it as conditioner approval, we'll approve, you know, presidential TL in this color, and you can decide to take it or appeal it if they want to continue with the current manufacturer, or you can continue it to request more information. And let's say, or the third option, if you decide to deny it altogether and they want to come back with presidential TL, that would have to be a separate action. That would be a new project submittal.
So we could approve it tonight with presidential TL.
I believe so, as a condition.
If your motion is to approve this project with presidential TL, you can, and the applicant has the ability to appeal that. Now, I guess the question would be to the city attorney, can you approve a motion where you approve it with TL, but if for whatever reason, the applicant can confirm that presidential TL cannot be applicable to this roof, can you then continue this project so that the applicant can come back to let you know, to provide that information to you, and then you continue the project to consider an alternative material?
So your microphone's a little bit hard to understand, so let me try to clarify. Was part of your question whether you can both approve it and continue it? Did I understand that?
Yes,
To that effect, I mean, maybe we would be making a motion to approve it with maybe a couple of alternate conditions.
Yes.
If,
And
and then if that, you know,
for the city attorney, there is a missing piece of information is the slope of the roof. As you heard earlier.
right,
Below 212, which I keep hearing reason why it cannot be verified. It could be very easily verified. All you need to know is from a high point to a low point and measure two distance, and you figure it out instantly. So the condition of approval is that if we all decided that the presidential TL that we've been approving all along are acceptable for this location and roof, we'll approve it as long as that material can be used on this property. If we come to find out that it cannot be used, then they have the option to come back and say, well, we cannot use it because there is an unknown factor tonight, that they can come back with an alternate solution. The fact that if they come back saying that it cannot be used, then what GAF out there now cannot be used anyway. It's also used for shingle. You follow me? It's all, we're not altering the material. We are telling them to change the material so that it will meet the design guideline that will be on the pre-approved list. But because of the unknown factor, they will have to come up with a different solution anyway.
yep. Yep, I understand the question. I'm just trying to process the procedure of this to get it right. So if the applicant goes back and confirms the presidential TL is acceptable, which is what you're potentially going to approve tonight, would you be asking them to come back in the future to prove that, or would that be something they can do at the staff level?
I would say staff level is good enough. I don't think we need to see that, because if we know that legally they can do it, technically it can be done.
Right.
We approve the material and the color tonight, they can go along. We can even take two color, let them have a choice of one to two color that we feel comfortable.
And so, yeah, that would be fine. How it would be worded is that you're approving the application with the conditions that presidential TL is approved, so long as it works with the roof pitch, to be proved with written evidence to staff. In the event that the roof pitch continues to be an issue, then it would come back to the commission at a date uncertain. That's how I would word it, if that matches what the commission is trying to, or the committee is trying to do here.
Well, that works for me, but I don't know if the other commissioners, how they feel.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So let me bring this back to the committee. Are we in a consensus view that we would be amenable to this? And
I'm okay
let's
with that.
discuss the colors.
I am, because essentially this applicant has to come to us for any material because they cannot use the existing material that's already there. So in order, they're gonna have to come back to us anyways. It's a little bit more efficient if we take care of that step now in order
Agreed.
to move this roof forward. So yes, I agree.
I feel for the owner with this
Yes.
rainy season.
Yeah.
The sooner they find a solution that's workable with the neighborhood and all of us, I think it's the best solution.
So what? According
To what the attorney suggested, we need to discuss the colors.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
Any thoughts on that?
I'm sorry.
What are the
Colors.
There is a slate gray, I believe. I'm not sure.
Correct.
And I think we should give multiple.
Yeah.
I think we should provide multiple.
Yes.
The approved color on the list.
Is country gray, but in the past, the DRC has approved autumn blend, and some other ones. I know autumn blend for sure.
What about, haven't we done shadow gray? Isn't there?
Shadow gray. Shadow
We
gray.
done shadow gray as
Yeah.
well?
And autumn
Something
black,
like
yeah.
that.
So I guess the color is more to the owner's preference, and the color of the house is basically neutral and probably work with one of the three. So I would let them work with that three color and then work with staff, and you guys can give them a suggestion and make it happen.
Chair, if I may, I think the country gray should be one of the options.
Country gray?
Yes, we definitely said country gray.
Okay,
Yeah.
We said country gray, shadow gray, and autumn blend.
Okay.
Are we comfortable with those three?
oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, all right. Do we have a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion then. Just to make sure I got the right number. I move to approve case number DR 23-08 at 2575 Wallingford Road, with the condition, the applicant will have to use the presidential TL type. They have the choice of one of the three colors: country gray, shadow gray, and autumn blend, I believe. And that one of the three colors. And they will bring that decision to staff once they receive the verification that the application of this material is suitable for the existing roof pitch that is higher than 2 to 12. Then they can go ahead and move forward with that decision. City Attorney, is that pretty much what we talked about, or do you want to add anything more to the motion?
I think you nailed it.
Thank you, sir.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And staff roll call, please.
Alternate Commissioner Torgerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Committee Member Cho,
Yes.
Committee Member Chang,
Yes,
Committee Member Batnij,
Yes.
and Vice Chair McKay.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a 5-0 vote for what was said.
Thank you.
thank you.
Chair, would you care to take a 3 to 5 minute break to see if we can work out the issues with the microphones while we transition to the next item?
Understood. Yes.
Thank you. So you don't know where the east is.
I don't know when we do it. That's one of course. Maybe.
Look at the dates, I have it.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome back. We will move on to item number 2.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. For the record, this is Assistant Planner Savak Susunian presenting item number 2, which is design review case number DR 23-24 at 1752 Russet Lane. The applicant proposes to remove existing composition shingle roofing material to install CertainTeed Presidential Shake TL Solaris composition shingles in the Solaris charcoal black color. Despite the residence already being improved with composition shingles, the project is subject to design review because the proposed material and color are not found on the city's pre-approved roof material list. The Solaris product is largely indistinguishable from the non-Solaris version of Presidential Shake TL in its thickness, dimension, and weight. The difference is namely in the color options and the ability of the Solaris product to reflect light and meet Title 24 cool roof requirements. The subject property is not identified as a potential historic resource and is exempt from CEQA pursuant to the clause on existing facilities. The project received 9 neighborhood input letters with no objection, 0 letters against the project, and 3 non-responses. Only 2 of the 4 design review findings are applicable for this project. Staff found compatibility within the legal neighborhood and with the structure itself, and found that the colors and materials will match the existing. The applicant has provided a sample board for the committee to view the proposed charcoal black color. A director, if you might help display it. Thank you. And finally, staff is recommending the committee approve the project with the conditions found on the city's pre-approved roof materials list. That concludes staff's report. Staff is available to answer the committee's questions. The homeowner may provide additional context during the public comment section. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for staff? Oh, go ahead, Committee Member Chow.
Question, committee member. Just to repeat the question for the record, the question was that, do we know if there is this material in this color has been installed anywhere else in the city? To my knowledge, I'm not aware. During my time with the city, I have not received an application for the charcoal black color. So I can't answer your question, Shirley.
Thank you. Anyone else? Are you two okay if I move on? Okay. Thank you very much. Is the applicant here? Would they like to come to the microphone? And state your name. Thank you.
Hello, I'm James B. Shears from 1752 Russet Lane, and my wife Renee is here. Was that heard? Am I right?
Yeah, speak right into the microphone.
Okay. Shall I repeat?
Oh, yes, I didn't hear you. Did you?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I am James B. Shears, 1752 Russet Lane, and my wife Renee is here.
Okay, go ahead. Did you want to?
We're quite happy to use a presidential TL. We like the look. We think it's perfect for us. We want to replace an existing black color with the black color that you saw on the sample. And we were told by the roofer and the roofing supply company that the Solaris is the latest and greatest. So we'd like to go that direction. I guess the only variation we're asking for is the color black and the Solaris treatment. Everything else is exactly as it exists now.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant? Yes, Vice Chair McKay. Could you clarify the situation with the gutters? It was very hard for me. My eyesight is not great. To see if you have gutters going all the way around the house. And then in the front of the house, there is a horizontal metal bar that extends across the front part of the roof where the owl is.
Yes.
And I wanted some clarification on that, please.
Certainly, there is gutter all the way around with the exception of the roofing eave above the bay window. And when this roof was installed, it was actually our architect, Bob Cooper, who used to be a member of this committee, who told us the look would be better if we put that bar, you see, which is a diverter. The water comes down, hits that, goes off to the side into the gutters that exist on either side of the bay window.
Oh,
That's why it's there.
and would that be maintained with the new roof? Or
Yes.
you would do the same thing?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Great. Any other questions? Seeing no other questions, I will move to.
Just for clarification, there's nobody online and no one has emailed me for public comment.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll move to committee member discussion. Committee member Chow? Great, thank you. Committee member Chang?
Yeah, I concur. The material, obviously, I think after we look at the sample, you can see how much thicker on these TL portion of it under even on the Solaris composition. This will be a perfect chance for us to see after it's completed and see how it looks. With so many applications coming in asking for asphalt shingle, this will be really the top choice for composition shingle, and we like to see that as a good example of how it can look. And also the charcoal black color, I have no problem with it because the way that home is there now with the dark roof and it looks fine. So I can support the application as presented.
Thank you. Committee member Batnij.
Yes, not much to add. I agree that this would be this, I think this would be fine, and I'm actually very happy to see this color being installed in our city because it'll give us a chance to see. I think that there are some homes in San Marino that would look it would be appropriate to use this color on. And perhaps it might be one of the options that we offer or recommend to other applicants. And just to add to the knowledge pool of what I have looked at the Solaris versions of the TL before, and it's very, very hard to distinguish between the Solaris versions and the non-Solaris versions. So if we're ever making a list as a city of we should keep in mind that the Solaris are extremely hard to distinguish between the non-Solaris, and therefore, if we are approving something that has a Solaris version, it might be wise of us to include that on any potential list. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Vice Chair McKay. I agree with the comments of all of my fellow committee members. I can make a finding of compatibility with the structure itself, with the legal neighborhood. The roof is somewhat prominent, but it is partially obscured by that big tree in front. The house is in the corner, as my fellow committee members have mentioned. So this is a perfect candidate for this product. And the quality of the material seems to be very good, and I could support this tonight. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you. And I think that we are all in agreement this evening that we think this is a good product and we're compatible with the house and in the neighborhood. And we would probably all look forward to seeing the product. I also, my only hesitation was going to be black, but I realized that those Tesla roofs are black, and I think this is far more attractive, and I look forward to seeing it. So I also wanted to thank you for bringing in the product sample for us to see. That really does help us with our decision making. So we really appreciate it. So do we have a motion?
We are having issues with these mics, so probably will be best if you can come up here, make the motion. And then for the next item, I think for the benefit of the public who wants to hear about the next item, if you and committee member Chan, when you make your comments, maybe you would have to come up here so that we can get a clear audio.
We'll go wherever you want. Okay, so I move to approve DR 23-24 at 1752 Russet Lane as presented tonight.
Great. A second? I'll second. Roll call.
Committee Cho,
Yes.
yes for the record. Committee Chang,
Yes.
yes for the record. Committee Member Batnish,
Yes.
Vice Chair McKay,
Yes.
and Chair Lakon.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a 5-0 vote for approval.
Thank you very much. Item 3, new business.
Yes,
Will you be presenting that?
I will be presenting. Let me just share my screen before I start. So for item number 3, staff has placed it on the agenda with the specific requests, not talking about the manufacturers or the type of windows that are on the pre-approved window list, but the procedures themselves, which is the first page. Staff is asking the DRC for a direction on what would be acceptable when a residence has, for instance, original wood windows and wants to change them to aluminum clad windows, where the exterior of the aluminum clad windows is aluminum and the wood portion is to the interior of the home. Therefore, making the exterior visibility change slightly from an original wood window to an aluminum clad window. Would that be something the procedures don't clearly state, but would it be something that the DRC is willing to discuss as staff could do as an administrative approval? Or separately, in a scenario number 2, there are residences that have original steel windows or residences that have original aluminum windows, and they want to change them out. The design and everything remaining the same, but they want to change it out for aluminum clad windows. And in scenario number 2, the thickness of the mutants and the overall frame would be different because the aluminum clad windows are thicker versus option number 1, where swapping out a wood window for an aluminum clad window, although there's a visible material change to the exterior. The overall design and thickness would remain the same. As the window pre-approved procedures doesn't mention scenarios such as that, we would like to have a discussion as to what past practices or what would be acceptable for staff to either approve what we consider administratively over the counter or something that the DRC wants to be seen before them as a design review action.
So
I'm just a little, you're asking. Right now, people come over the counter to change their windows.
Yes, so for instance, if someone were to come and have original wood windows
Right.
over the counter and they want to replace them with wood, not an issue.
Right.
If someone wants to come in with original wood windows and wants to do aluminum clad windows, there would be a slight visible change from the exterior. Would that be something that staff would be able to approve over the counter administratively, or would that be a project that would be brought before the DRC?
and you're
Okay.
asking us
You already do.
for direction on how that should be dealt with in the future.
Correct.
Did I? Okay.
Okay.
If I may.
Go ahead.
I think I understand the staff's question. So for a wood window, replace it with a aluminum clad with wood inside. The profile window usually is about the same, so with some slight modification. I sat in this committee for quite a while, and then it took us a long time to realize that some of these old wood windows, after you paint it a few times, they become very difficult to operate. And then some of with the termite problem, and some are just the mechanism itself, the counterweight, and all of that doesn't work anymore. So it is, I think it's the right thing to do, allowing them to go ahead and use the greatest and the latest. And as long as the look of the style and the dividers and all of that are similar, I think staff can approve administratively when they replace the existing wood window with aluminum clad, as long as the look maintained the same. If there's half an inch more here, quarter inch there, it's workable, because overall, when you look at the house, you don't see that difference. So I think that would be fine. That would be my take. Your second question is if it's a steel window or some aluminum window, which are those were used in the 40s and 60s, about that time. They are really thin style, maybe only 1 inch and single pane. Those are hard to replace nowadays. With those, you have to custom made them. But they are used for a reason. Usually you find those in the more mid-century homes, more contemporary homes. If they come back and by accident being picked by a contractor and just say, well, just use the aluminum clad window in the wrong style of home, we may have a problem. So I would say when you see major difference between a 1 inch frame coming back with 2.5 or 3 inch frame, because all of a sudden now it's a aluminum clad wood window replacing a thin style casement steel window, I would say bring it to the committee for review, because I worry about the style will not work with the existing home. So at least that's my thought. And then the third question is, you did something about the third question, right?
I believe I was just trying to clarify my first two. You've answered my questions as
style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the style, the visual style from the exterior, and to
Right.
provide further clarification. Past practices has been where replacing wood windows would have been acceptable to do aluminum clad window, but it has not been acceptable to change out an original aluminum window or a steel window to an aluminum clad without getting design review committee approval.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
so for the purposes, because it's not clear and members of the public are asking us, the procedures aren't clear on how to handle that situation. And so we wanted for clarification and with the discussion of the DRC, what would be acceptable.
Sure. So the question number two, I think style is still an important concern for the DRC to understand. When you change out, let's say you got a real entire home with about 15, 20 windows, of taking out all the a steel window and aluminum window, all of a sudden you change it to that. Would the style of the home work with that major change out? For them to do something this like that amount of window, I think the DRC should look at it. That's my take. But if they ask for 2 windows with a mix on a home, that they got some wood window mixed with some casement window that went in years ago without a permit in the back, and they want to kind of replace it and match the front, I think that would be acceptable with staff looking at it.
In that situation, because there's 5 bullet points we can approve windows for, and there is a situation here where staff can make certain changes if it provides more architectural consistency throughout the home. In situations where they have an oddball window that was installed in a random year that doesn't match the home, it does allow staff to make that change administratively.
Keep that. That's perfect. That's perfectly fine. Yeah. So there's not a whole lot of change. I just want to make sure that that's my thought on the second question. So I want to hear other committee members, their feeling.
And we also have one member of the public who would like to give a public comment. I don't know if you wish to ask him to speak first before you have committee discussion.
Sure.
Unless you have any further questions to me.
I have further questions for you. So is that what this whole discussion is about?
Yes.
Okay, because on the agenda, it says looking for direction about windows. And it seems like you had very, very precise things that you were looking for directions on. I'm just curious, is there any reason why you didn't put that in the agenda? Like we would like direction on this situation, situation number 1, where we're swapping out wood windows for aluminum, and situation number 2, or I'm just curious, or why the precision wasn't in the agenda.
It was just because we wanted to have an open discussion. It's not a formal item that was brought before an applicant. So yes, the staff report provided was vague, but the purpose of it is only to review the procedures.
Okay.
Anyone else have any comments or any questions for staff? And then I will, you said there was a member of the public who would like to make comments.
Yes.
You can go ahead and state your name and your address.
Hi, this is Jennifer Giles again, 2290 Lorraine Road. I have been coming to the city on multiple occasions with regards to window replacement, and specifically with regards to steel window replacements. There is only one option on our pre-approved window list, and it's for Torrent steel windows, which are extremely costly and do not provide the appropriate Title 24 energy requirements. And so I have a current project of which the house has a combination of aluminum and steel windows, specifically extremely large rolling sliders that are steel, that the homeowner would like to replace because the rollers are damaged and don't open very easily. And these panels are 4 and 5 feet wide. And it would be extremely costly to replace those with steel products again. And so these doors are on the back of the house that lead out to the pool, and it has been suggested by the contractor that they be replaced with aluminum sliders. Now, there are several aluminum windows in this house. It's kind of a mix with aluminum at the rear and steel at the front. And so it's been very difficult to kind of come up with what's the standard for the house. And it'd be great if we could do aluminum clad or aluminum windows. And if so, are they required to change everything out? What is the standard? There's many questions, and it's very vague on what options there are for homeowners that have steel windows.
Madam
Great,
Chair,
thank you.
really quickly, there were some specific items that were brought up about a specific property that could come before you. So I would advise you not to get into a discussion that applies to that. I would talk in generalities. And just take that into account as you proceed with your discussions.
Great. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, is there anyone else who is here for public comments?
Oh,
Yes,
Yes, you are. Please come to the microphone and state your name and your address.
Yes, Suzanne Torgerson, 2225 Hammett Road, San Marino. I have a question. Does this, Camelia, does this change the list of windows if at all?
Yeah. This is not changing. So page 3 is the list of the pre-approved window manufacturers. That is not part of this discussion. The only discussion we're having is procedurally.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. And I just want to second Mr. Chang's comment. My husband and I own a home with steel windows, not here in San Marino. It is very difficult to replace a 1950s mid-century house with a window that is going to have as much viewing space. And so I don't think there are a lot of options in San Marino to do that. Our home is not in San Marino, so we have a few more options. But because the steel is so slender, you lose some viewing with just about everything that is out there that you could replace it with, except for another steel, which is extremely expensive. So I think that in the future, I would hope there would be more opportunities to look at different options for those houses. And I don't think there's a lot of them in San Marino, but there are steel windows that need to be replaced and give people some options more than they have today. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Can I close the public comment
You
portion?
can close the
Or-
public comment.
Okay, I'll close the public comment and move to more discussion. Committee member Batnish, did you have a comment?
Yes. So starting with the first scenario that we heard, which is changing from the current homeowner has wood windows and wants to switch to aluminum clad, and there will be some visible change. This, I think that we all want to have a really easy answer to this, like yes or no. And I think it is not so easy. As an example, there are homes that are, for example, homes on the historical assessment or homes that are in districts, potential historic districts. It may not be appropriate for those wood windows to be changed to aluminum clad. I don't think that one rule can just cover everything in this situation. I would say that especially with homes that have been that are on the historical assessment or in historic districts, which are numerous, like historic districts in the city are homes that are in historic districts are numerous. So that would be one example that I would give. Where it wouldn't necessarily be a straightforward answer. This body has had items before it in the past where that were in the estates area that were very architecturally important homes that this body has said, it's an old Spanish homes with those very deep set windows, for example, where it's just not possible to put, or it's not appropriate, or it would change the look so much to put aluminum clad windows on that particular house. I have seen on a similar note, I think that it's not just the products that are being put in, but the conditions in which they are installed. For example, Bay windows are something that whenever I see them being replaced by aluminum clad from wood, there is always a degradation of the traditional look of that. Not always, but I shouldn't say always. Many times there is a degradation of the architectural look that is supposed to be on that house. A lot of times the metal caps are just discarded and someone just throws some roofing material above those windows, for example. So that is when we get to big problems, I think. So I think that maybe this has to be looked at a little bit more carefully and not just give you, in my opinion, it shouldn't just be that we give you a yes or no answer to that question about people who have wood windows being replacing them by aluminum clad. I also want to say I'm personally and very respectfully to my fellow committee member, I think that when you are talking about a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch difference, those differences, especially a 1/2 inch, can be very, very noticeable, and depending on the style of architecture, can really be problematic to go to change that much. So it depends on the house, and it depends on the situation. And as far as the steel steel windows, it's hard to replace those. I don't have any good input on that, but other people have made very intelligent comments about that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Chair, real quickly,
Mhm.
just 2 things. One, just want to make sure that for the benefit of this discussion, there are no designated historic districts in the city.
Yeah, potential historic districts. Yeah,
Potentials, but
I think I mentioned that.
there's no designated historic neighborhoods or districts.
Correct.
2, one of the things that I was going to touch on the director's report is that the city council did speak in regards to the window pre-approved list in regards to it being updated. They have not provided staff direction yet, but that is one thing that it will be in the horizon. So if no consensus is made tonight, then obviously we can bring that subject matter back when the window list is up for review and based on the direction given by the city council. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think it's tough to just discuss this without having the window list. I mean, so much of it depends on the window that's selected versus the procedure,
You mean the manufacturers?
everything. Mhm.
So generally, a code, or this isn't codified, but this policy that has been adopted with the pre-approved window material and replacement procedure list in the future would have to be eventually rewritten and updated so we can apply it to most generally almost all properties. Of course, there's going to be special exceptions for unique properties, but we're asking, and it will eventually have to get relayed back into this procedure list, is generally how would staff move forward? We can't take every home necessarily case by case. It would have to be a blanket policy that we can apply throughout the city.
Okay, well, I'm not comfortable with the whole facade of a house, changing all of the windows from original windows to replacement windows with an over-the-counter approval as a blanket statement.
I share that same sense.
You can continue your deliberation, and again, if I should go over there. If there's no consensus, then we'll continue to bring these items to the committee until we receive further instruction from the city council.
Okay, so we don't have to decide tonight.
You don't have to decide tonight. Again, if there's no consensus, then we will just continue to apply the window changes as we have and bring them to you if they do not meet the standard based on our policy.
Thank you. Are we looking for a consensus on whether or not? What kind of consensus are we looking? What are we?
If there's a consensus, you provide that direction to staff and we'll apply it. Obviously, Committee Member Chang made his comments. If there's agreement to those, then, we can proceed with those, but if not, then we'll continue as we have.
Can you repeat what you're asking for a
Just to make it clear, I try to answer the two requests from staff. Question one was that if an applicant walks in and try to replace some existing wood window, and they pick on the pre-approved list manufacturer, and staff will tell them you need to match what you got. If it's a 4-foot by 5-foot window, they need to match. If their manufacturer come out to be 4.5 inch or 5'1" is the standard dimension, then staff can make a judgment and say, well, it looks basically the same. When I said 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, I'm talking about the overall window from style to style, from opening to opening. The rough opening may change 1/2 inch or 1 inch, because that's construction. You can't. I'm not talking about the style.
I understand now. Yes, thank
of
you.
the glass. If that go from the used to be 1/2 inch, now is 1.5 inch, of course that won't work. I
Yeah,
think staff would have enough judgment on that to make the right decision on those. And so I feel comfortable with question number one, because otherwise we'll be looking at all the pre-approved window lists and they come back basically the same window, you cut in the same place, but they just replacing a material which is all wood to a all wood with the exception the exterior is aluminum clad, so that they operate better and they hold the weather better, and they slide better, and it operates better at least. So I think, and usually it does not change the style of the window and the home, because the configuration and the profile of the window should look like a wood window. Most manufacturers understand that, and they will produce the right profile of the windows to look like a wood window from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some that you can't even tell unless you walk up and touch it and put your nail into it before you can tell, oh my God, it is a aluminum clad, because they look just like a wood window with all the different styles on the dividing of the glass. So I feel comfortable with that. That way at least staff can answer consistently to our neighbors and our citizens. So that's one. I think two, we did talk about the style issue. Those I would recommend bring it to the committee, because with those oddball exceptions that's already been written on one window or two windows in the back, that kind of thing. But anytime when you change large window like that, there are other solutions. There are other solutions that I've seen and is being used that they can still maintain the large visual percentage by having maybe a commercial storefront window, like Fleetwood makes those windows, that they can make it look like a steel window, but it is very comfortable and the style will remain the same. But the committee should definitely look at those individually, case by case basis, because the color, the depth, the shadow line, all those will make a big difference on the style of the home. So number two, I would say bring it to the committee, but number one, I'll go along. I hope that clarify my position or how I read it.
Thank you. Thank you, Committee Member Chang. And Committee Member Chow, you want to make another comment? Go ahead.
So my question is basically just to follow up on that. So if I may, I'd like to clarify. So in scenario number one, what is our current policy? The scenario in scenario number one, it still they all come in front of DRC. Is that correct?
In scenario number one, currently, they do not come before DRC.
Okay, so we're really not changing that.
Right, but to provide clarity for the public when they ask us, well, if you're allowing a wood window to change to aluminum clad window, which is a wood material to a metal material, give or take, the design remains the same, but the exterior material changes. Why can't I, a homeowner, change out my aluminum window or steel window to aluminum clad window when the metal to metal materials remain the same, but the design is changing? That's what staff's asking for
So-
So
clarification.
this is why this is here today.
Yes.
Okay,
So
thank you.
now, so it seems to me that, based on the scenario, what a committee member Chen just kind of proposed, that scenario number one, staff can approve it administratively. Scenario number two comes in front of DRC. That's kind of pretty much what we're doing right now. Is that correct? So we're basically just want to make that
Yes.
clear.
Yes, because it's not clear on the procedures. So
Okay,
we're clarifying it, and so it's on the record that these are the type of projects that the DRC want to approve themselves.
okay. So it's not that if we, let's say if I agree with committee member Chen's proposal, we're really not changing anything that we have been doing.
Correct, or you could reverse it and make it harsher where, potentially
Right.
any changes from wood windows to aluminum clad you would like to see come before you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So if I may.
Please go
or
ahead.
No,
No.
perhaps Mr.
Oh.
Chow wants to.
Staying here, so.
For the microphones, okay.
Okay.
Go ahead. Committee member Matthews.
This is why I was asking, I think it would have been helpful to have understood what we were being asked today. That what was on the agenda was, we're going to talk about windows. So we're kind of being asked on the spot. I think it would have been helpful. It'd be helpful in the future to have some idea of what we're being asked. And, since it is open-ended and since you're asking us, personally, I don't think that as our chair said, that blanket approvals of an entire facade of any house in San Marino should be done over the counter. It's just, there's too many factors and too many things that are different about each house that, and like I said, just take the case of bay windows. Like it's like how many houses in San Marino have bay windows? It's very difficult, and each one should probably be treated differently. And there's homes for which aluminum clad windows, I feel, would not be appropriate in the city. Potential historic districts are still potential historic districts. They're supposed to be treated as historic, as potentially historic areas, as potentially as areas that are sensitive. I think, anyways, that's what I have to say. If it were up to me, I don't think that I would be comfortable with the current system of, I guess someone can come and just change the entire facade of their house over the counter.
Go ahead.
And then additionally, if the chair wishes, there's members of the public who would like to speak again, but you don't have to reopen the public hearing. You can close it and just summarize the committee comments. And we can also continue the discussion should you wish to another meeting.
I would rather.
It's not a public, but you could open it for public comment if you want to.
Okay. Not necessarily. I would like not to. But I also like to just to bring this back and to continue this so that some of the committee members, myself included, can think about this before we go on the record with our decision. Would that be all right? But I respect what our committee members have said so far. It's just.
You can continue this discussion if you want for the next meeting. That's not a problem.
Yes.
Or
I'd like
you
to
can, provide direction. It's really up to you how you want to handle this.
Yes, I would like to continue to the next meeting.
Okay.
So that we can, committee members can further consider the questions that you're asking us to come to a consensus on.
Okay.
Do we need a motion for that?
Go ahead, Committee Member Chow.
Thank you. I know that it sounds fine that we'll continue this, but because I think it needs more discussion. But I'm still a little bit unclear that, so do we ultimately, either today or next time, make a recommendation, or do we vote? And is that the final say, or how does this all pan out?
So you would be giving us a recommendation on terms of your what you feel is the direction that should be taken. There's no formal vote on this. It's not a public hearing. You're not changing the resolution. We will then take that information and apply it appropriately. It is a policy. It's a policy, not an actual codified ordinance.
So this isn't something that you're asking us to bring forward with our opinion, and then you're going to bring it forward to the planning commission for some vote.
It's just it's a matter because it's a DRC matter.
Oh, okay.
So-
Yes, any window change, I mean, it doesn't go to the planning commission, it goes to the DRC.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the discussion is pretty much on the procedure, but committee member Benich said something about bay window. I understand that, but currently the procedure is that if the proposed window change does not change anything, staff has been approving it based on what's been approved on the pre-approved list. Maybe because we can always extend or continue this meeting, but then unless we got new information, we're not going to know anything more. So what I hope to do is maybe you're going to continue our discussion is that maybe there is any home that has a bay window that the manufacturer cannot match what the bay window looks like. Those need to bring to this party. At least there's new information, new facts that we can make decision for staff. So they can say, well, everything is fine, good, except the bay window. You may have to custom make a bay window to match exactly what's out there now. That is a direction for staff, but not giving them the direction amount, all of us. They're not clear and it's unfair to the resident because they don't know what is the right way. If we were to look at every single window change in here, we'll be very busy looking at every home window change.
Okay.
I just want to be fair to staff and fair to our citizen so that they know what direction they can go. So maybe we can identify what need to be that is our concern, that they need to bring it to our attention separately. They can get if the home has no bay window, it looks exactly the same, only 10 windows, and it's already on the pre-approved list, and the profile is the same. It looks exactly the same. Once they got it done, you can't even tell why they have to come to us.
Well, my understanding is they aren't coming to us anyway, so that's why I'd like
They're asking for
I'd like to
direction on
continue.
whether that should.
Whether it should change
Right.
or remain the same.
Okay.
Or
That's just something that I think I need more time to think about than just being hit on the spot right here with this kind of question. So
I would
Go
just
ahead.
suggest that if we're going to continue this, that we continue it in a way that maybe it's staff can make clear to the committee, exactly what is happening, what we're being asked to memorialize, if we continue to agree with it or change. Does that make sense? Because I think that there was some confusion about what was exactly before us tonight on this topic.
Which didn't allow us to prepare.
We can provide
Or
a staff report, a
investigate.
short staff report asking for the requesting the direction,
Yeah.
specific direction.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Chair, may I ask, just to give another example, I gave the bay window example, but just another example. On a house that I'm very familiar with, the exterior mullions, have a kind of scalloped shape. That is impossible to replicate on aluminum clad windows. That scallop shape is mirrored in on this particular house, and another feature of that house. under the current rules, someone could come and just mess that all up and kind of, it would, what's the word? It would just make something that is architecturally an architectural feature into something that is very plain. And so I can think of more than just a bay window that wouldn't necessarily be appropriate.
I think we're looking for character defining features when
Yes,
the
thank you.
window is specific, which is what it would appreciate is when the character of the house is significantly altered with even slight changes of the windows in certain situations.
So
But not-
Chairman, if I may, maybe I'll turn the question around this time. Maybe I should ask staff. Can you identify if a resident comes in the county and happen to be you or the other members, are they going to be getting exactly the same answer? That becomes very important. Meaning that if you have more experience and you can come up with an answer and they go to the next person that has less experience will come a different answer, then it's unfair. Maybe you can, from the next continuing discussion, share with us what staff among yourself, where you are being puzzled most. You cannot come up with the correct or the same answer to the residents. Maybe you can bring that up, like the one we talked about, special architectural feature in the window. Some of the windows, they can make it with wood, but cannot be made with aluminum. We had cases like that before. So maybe you can come up with those questions for us to discuss. So we can think about when those situations happen, you bring it to DRC.
Yeah, we can certainly bring up scenarios, generic scenarios that we receive at the counter or questions we receive, concerning questions from homeowners that we receive about the window replacement procedures. It's just very difficult when not every home is exactly the same and they all have a variety of different problems, but staff has to be able to provide them with feedback relatively quickly instead of, waiting, well, let us think on this. It should be a clear procedure that we can apply, but we can certainly come back with more specific questions or scenarios that applicants bring to us in those cases.
Okay.
Because I kind of remember this discussion had actually happened previously. Prior city council had felt that we are making it too difficult for residents to understand. So that was when I was, I think, on the planning commission at that time, and they said we got to streamline our procedures so that residents, to be fair to them, so that they come up with that method to say that, well, if it does not change the look, and it's got to, we already studied the configuration and the manufacturer's integrity, and we understand the distance between the style, the riding light, and all of that. Why can staff do it? Why do we have to tell them that you have to pay a fee, wait a month, get on the agenda, come here to answer questions that they already know? So that was one of the concerns at that time. But I understand some of the challenges they face because every home is different. The exterior finish is different, style is different. So I like to maybe with some discussion among staff, you can come back with maybe a list of 10 questions and say, if these things happen, are those exceptions that you want to see? Maybe we can give you a better response at that time.
Certainly.
Continue education.
Examples that you're getting, what applicants are asking for that you're finding that you don't have a streamlined approach currently, like specific examples, not the addresses and the
Yes.
applicants, but just what you're going through on your side, so that maybe we can try to figure out how we can help you guys also. Because I think we're just worried about the integrity of the house and the quality of the outcome with our final product. We want our neighborhoods to stay looking beautiful and original or enhanced in a positive way. So, and
I think-
compatibility, we want, to
I think staff is clear in terms of what the direction is, and that's really what we wanted. We wanted to have this discussion so we can weed through these items. So we'll do our best to bring you some of the scenarios that we get at the counter.
And I know we're just talking about procedures, but going back to the list, that is where there's a product specifically, I should keep mentioning, that is on the list. So if you're going to ask me if we could just change that,
We're not
like if
asking
that list wasn't, if that product wasn't on the list, I'd be more comfortable. But because that product's on the list, I wish it wasn't on the list, then makes it difficult when you have a situation where you feel the product isn't of the quality that should be on our pre-approved list.
Right. Staff is then asking to change the list. The list would need to go through the extensive review that the city council has already discussed. So we obviously bring that back to, well, we don't know what procedures that we want us to follow, but once city council has that discussion, we'll obviously will advise both the planning commission and DRC on the procedures.
Okay.
Chair, may I make one last comment?
Quickly.
Yeah, which is, I think that there has to be a balance between, being fair to the residents and fair to staff and fair to DRC's time and also not just opening the floodgates, because I think that we all can see examples around town that we drive by every day, that we see windows that have been replaced that really removed character defining features. And so it's not easy to give a blanket policy to every house in San Marino, or even most houses in San Marino.
And that's really the reason why we're having that discussion, because staff did not feel comfortable moving forward, thinking that same thing could happen, which is opening the floodgates. We did not want to be responsible for that. So that's the reason why we're here.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I appreciate everyone's comments, and I think that if we could continue it for the next few weeks, we should be able to sum up something and come to some conclusion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, move to the minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Anyone?
I'll move to approve the regular meeting minutes of the San Marino Design Review Committee, Wednesday, March 1, 2023.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second the motion. Speak louder.
Seconded by committee member Chang.
Yeah.
Roll call, please.
Member Chow,
Yes.
Member Chang,
Yes.
both were yeses, by the way. Member Batnish,
Yes.
Vice Chair Marquet,
Yes.
and Chair Lakon.
Yes.
Right, thank you. It's 5-0 vote.
Great. Can you have our director's report, please?
I have a short one. Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I don't want to overdo it with the window, but again, the windows, the city council during their joint meeting with the planning commission did discuss a couple of items of importance that do have an impact to DRC. One was the window pre-approved list, and that will come before them in the future to provide staff with direction as how to go about revisiting the list. And the other item was about noticing. As you know now, the noticing requirement is either sending a what do you call the certified mailing for the
Neighborhood input letters.
neighborhood input letters, or the applicant can go up to their neighbors on 2 occasions. And if after those 2 occasions, there's no response, then that item is checked off. Well, city council will no longer give that option. So it will only be certified mailing. We're working through those details in terms of how to implement that. There are some roadblocks that we're forecasting, but we're gonna hopefully work out a policy where it's clear. And again, the option of just going up to the property and on 2 occasions is no longer going to be an option. There was an appeal to a denial from the March 1st meeting at 1360 Bradbury road. It was a re-roof denial that will be going before planning commission. I believe it's forecasted for next week, March 22nd. So obviously with every determination, I will inform the committee of the result. And for the next DRC meeting, we project about, or we're forecasting three items, potentially once assigned, and again, not to belabor the window topic, but 2 window projects. That concludes staff's or the director's report. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so can I adjourn the meeting? Or do we? Can I
Yeah.
Adjourn the meeting? I'll adjourn the meeting. It is 8:10 and we will be back again on April 5th.
April 5th.
April 5th. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, everyone.
So.
April.